Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. I hit record and slide the phone under the placemat. I'm Anna, 27. My pulse rattles fast. Mara watches my hand like a hawk, too alert. Mom lines up the forks like soldiers, focused. Dad clears his throat, then misses the first word. It failed. Mara folds her napkin like a blade. Daniel blinks twice. His heel taps under the table. Silence lands heavy, 1 beat, 2. She drags in air, eyes dry, jaw locked. I need help. Family help. Immediate, she says. My knee knocks the table, small quake, big risk. What help? I ask, voice steady, chin up. Eggs, she answers, like requesting sugar. Yours, she adds, gaze fixed, daring. My tongue sticks, then loosens with something sharp. Mom reaches for my hand, fingers trembling and hot. 1 cycle. We handle costs, she murmurs. Dad nods once, habit, not thought. Daniel stares at his glass, breath short. I pull my hand back, and Mom flinches. No. I push my chair 2 inches back, enough space. Mara laughs without humor, shoulders squared. Grow up. Women do this for sisters, she fires. Her nails drum the table, fast, impatient. Sign tonight. Tomorrow is optimal, she adds. Optimal, like I'm a calendar. My jaw tightens hard. Your timeline isn't my body, I say. Her smile drops, clean fall, no net. We can use your ID, she mutters. Daniel's heel stops. That tells me plenty. Repeat that, I say, leaning in, eyebrows raised. She flicks her eyes to Mom, brief, guilty flash. Clinic's mixed data. It's normal, she shrugs. Dad shifts in his chair, would protests. Show me the forms, I say, palm open. Mara slides a folder halfway, then pulls it back. Later, she says. After dessert. We don't eat until I read, I answer. Mom exhales slow, lips thin, prayer unsaid. Daniel reaches for the folder, then freezes. I snatch it. The top sheet bristles with blanks. Typed name line, hers. Signature line, mine. Wrong line, I say, tapping the page. Mara's knee bumps mine, hard warning. Stop performing. Everyone knows you'll help, she whispers. I flip to the next sheet, consent boxes unchecked. Who filled my contact? I ask, scanning fast. Her number sits there, neat and smug. Clinic prefers 1 point, she offers. Clinic prefers honesty, I counter, heartbeat hammering. Mara reaches across, catches my wrist, firm clamp. Pain shoots up, bright and real. I hold still. Mom stiffens. Dad looks away, shame heavy. Daniel's jaw works, grind, then stalls. I tug free. Skin blooms red under her grip. Don't dramatize, Mara says, voice low, dangerous. Then stop grabbing me, I say, even lower. I lift my sleeve, small bruise, purple edge. Fresh. Ugly. Message carved in soft skin. Mom gasps. That sound slices the air. Yesterday, I say, eyes on Mara, not blinking. You cornered me in the hallway. Remember? Her stare turns flat, shuttered room, no light. We're wasting time, she says, pushing the folder. Sign now. Retrieval window closes tonight. I slide the folder back, clean, deliberate move. If you forge me, I press charges, I say. Dad jerks like a wire got yanked. Daniel grips the chair, knuckles pale. Mara's lips twitch, half snarl, half plea. The phone vibrates under the placemat, new message. My cloud backup pinged, thread ready, safety net. Last chance, Mara says, voice thinning. Not a chance, I answer, spine straight. Her eyes flick to the kitchen door, calculating routes. She stands. Chair scrapes, sharp, ugly note. You're selfish. You always were, she spits. I rise too, mirror her height, close distance. You're reckless. You cross the line, I say. Her breath comes shallow. Mine lands solid. Mom moves between us, small, shaking shield. Please. We stay kind, she whispers. We stay legal, I reply, not looking away. Mara breaks eye contact first, tiny defeat. Daniel swallows. Words gather, then scatter. I place the folder in the center, neutral ground. We do nothing tonight, I say, clear and slow. Tomorrow we meet at the clinic with IDs. Mara flinches, plan jammed, clock ticking loud. The placemat hums again. Backup complete, ready. I arrive early and place my ID on the counter. The receptionist glances up and pauses mid-smile. Mara marches in with Daniel trailing 2 steps back. She holds a clipboard like a threat, not a tool. We're here for consent, she announces, chin high. Verification first, I answer and tap my card. The receptionist nods and reaches for a scanner. Mara leans close and lowers her voice. "Don't make this difficult," she whispers through clenched teeth. I stare at the scanner light until it beeps. A nurse appears and gestures us toward a small room. Mara strides ahead and claims the chair near the door. Daniel chooses the corner and avoids my eyes. I stand because my legs refuse to fold. The nurse clicks her pen and waits for silence. "Walk us through consent," I say with calm rhythm. She opens a folder and points to the blanks. "Each donor signs here after a physician briefing," she explains. Mara slides a sheet forward with a practiced flick. The signature line already holds my name. I don't touch it. I look at the nurse. "This wasn't signed by me," I say, voice level. The nurse studies the looped letters and frowns. "Who delivered this?" I ask, keeping my hands visible. Mara shifts in her seat and crosses her arms. Daniel clears his throat and looks at the floor. "Form came in by email," he mutters without lifting his head. I raise my phone and open the recording app. "Might be helpful to document," I say, eyes on him. Mara's shoulder tenses like a rope pulled tight. The nurse calls in a supervisor with a short buzz. A woman enters and reviews the email header printout. "That address doesn't match our patient record," she notes. Mara laughs once and shrugs with forced ease. "Clerical mismatch happens," she says, avoiding the paper. "It came from your laptop," I answer, tapping the footer. Daniel straightens a little and swallows too fast. The supervisor circles the line with a firm stroke. "Any attempt to impersonate a donor is criminal," she states. Mara's smile drops and returns in a thinner shape. "Let's speak privately," she fires back, chin angled. "No," I answer and shift my weight forward. "Everything stays on record," I add, not blinking. The nurse steps between us with measured authority. "Medical briefing first," she insists, eyes steady on Mara. The doctor steps in and opens the risk handout. He lists injections, retrieval, anesthesia, and complications. "Donor choice must be voluntary and informed," he says. He slides the form to me without pressure. Mara reaches, but I move the page away. "Refusal stands," I say and push it back. The doctor inclines his head and marks the chart. "No procedure without consent," he confirms, pen poised. Mara's jaw flexes as she digs in her bag. She pulls out a small bottle with rattling pills. "Supplements," she says and tosses it softly across. It lands near the chart with a dull tap. The nurse picks it up and reads the label. Her eyes flick to the computer for the database. "That drug requires a prescription," she says, tone clipped. Daniel flinches and steps toward the door. "Stay," I say, and my voice halts him. "Where did you get those?" I ask, palm open. He rubs his forehead and looks at Mara. She gives him nothing, just a hard stare. The supervisor returns with a security officer. "Clinic protocol requires confiscation," the officer announces. Mara laughs again with no warmth or humor. "Everyone is hysterical," she says, hands slicing the air. I look at the officer and nod once. "Please pull the camera footage from intake," I request. "Timestamp 19 minutes ago," I add, clear and steady. The officer radios the desk and waits for confirmation. Mara's breathing turns quick as her fingers tangle. Daniel leans on the wall as if gravity tripled. The nurse prints a chain of custody form. She places it down and clicks her pen again. "Initials here to acknowledge the seizure," she explains. Mara refuses the pen and stares at me. I sign as witness and meet her glare. The supervisor sets a boundary in one sentence. "No further scheduling today without legal review," she declares. Mara rises so fast the chair skids back. She steps close enough that I feel her breath. "Congratulations," she hisses. "You destroyed my chances." I keep my hands by my sides and breathe once. "You destroyed them when you faked my consent," I answer. Daniel pushes off the wall and lifts both hands. "Enough," he says, voice cracking like thin ice. "Tell them about the pharmacy call," he adds. Her head whips toward him with bright fury. He doesn't retreat, he digs in his pocket. He places a crumpled slip on the desk. "Return notice. Wrong customer. Picked up by you," he says. The nurse reads, then scans the barcode for history. The computer pings and prints a short receipt. "Pickup confirmed under your profile," she reports. Mara stares at the printout and blinks too slowly. The officer folds his arms and watches her face. The supervisor writes a note and closes the folder. "Are we done?" Mara asks with a dry throat. "For today," the supervisor replies with formal calm. The officer escorts her toward the hallway door. Daniel lingers and looks at me like a stranger. "You could have warned us," he says, barely audible. I warned you last night, I answer without moving. You ignored me and risked a felony, I add. He covers his mouth and nods in tiny jerks. I thought it would scare you into agreeing, he admits. The nurse exhales and turns away to give space. The doctor tears the ensign sheet cleanly in half. He drops the pieces into a bin without ceremony. No consent. No retrieval. Clinic will report irregularities, he says. I nod and collect my card from the counter. Mara's voice echoes faintly from the hall like a threat. Daniel catches up at the elevator with uneven steps. She will blame you until the sun burns out, he mutters. I can live with blame, I say, pressing the button. He leans against the frame and studies my face. What if she tries again? He asks, dread rising. Then we escalate, I answer, and the doors open. He doesn't enter, he drifts back with a hollow look. Call me if anything shifts, he murmurs toward the floor. The doors slide shut and cut the scene clean. My throat loosens as the elevator begins to drop. I step outside and my phone buzzes twice. A new email lands from the clinic supervisor. Subject line states formal notation of attempted impersonation. Attached file lists next steps and contact for counsel. I forward it to our parents without commentary, then breathe. The key snags and the bolt grinds twice, wrong resistance. I crouch and film the latch with my phone steady. Fresh scrape marks glare like warnings I cannot ignore. Footsteps flutter above, then pause on the landing. A shadow tilts over the railing and doesn't move. My screen lights with a driver's arrival ping, my name attached. Your pickup is here, the message chirps with false cheer. I never booked anything, I text back cancel immediately. The car idles at the curb like a patient lure. I copy the plate and save it to a new file. A calendar invite drops with a sharp buzz, procedure scheduled. Different center, different address, identical signature block. I call the number on speaker and keep breathing even. That's not my authorization. I state and request termination. Strange, the receptionist murmurs. The patient is already waiting. I grab my jacket and head straight there, no detours. The lobby doors slide and I walk to the desk. A woman signs on the clipboard using my first initial. I'm the donor, she announces, mask high and brim low. Prove it, I say, stepping forward with my ID raised. Security arrives with measured steps and watchful eyes. Show identification, he commands, palm open between us. The woman hesitates, then shifts her stance and stalls. I hold my document to the scanner without trembling. She peels the mask down, Mara, jaw tight and breathing hard. The guard guides her toward a side room, no drama. I remain at the counter and lock my phone. Daniel appears from the hallway with uneven strides. He stops near the exit and avoids my face. Please step outside, he urges, voice rough and thinning. We reach the sidewalk and traffic hums like pressure. He digs out a small drive and presses it over. From our building cam, he says with eyes lowered. The preview shows a hand testing my lock last night. The wrist bracelet matches hers, clean, undeniable, awful. I email the clip to the case number immediately. I CC the property manager and attach the ride plate. The intake clerk replies with a hearing time, tomorrow morning. An emergency order request enters the queue with priority. A clock starts ticking behind my ribs like a metronome. Mara exits with the guard shadowing each step. You're ruining my life, she hurls, palms cutting the air. You're endangering mine, I answer, shoulders squared and still. She feints a lunge and freezes at the guard's warning. He rests a hand near the radio, line held, silence brittle. Back home, password reset alerts pile in relentless waves. I switch to keys and kill every open session. A neighbor texts about a stranger lingering near the mailboxes. I call the non-emergency line and detail the pattern. A patrol car crawls by slowly and flashes once, then twice. My parents ring through as I draft a timeline. Family meeting tonight. Mom pushes, voice shaking and urgent. Police station only. I answer, words clipped and final. Bring a mediator or I don't show, I add. Dad exhales hard, and the call cuts off mid-plea. I structure the document with times and names, clean lines. Attachments stack like bricks until the page strains. A voicemail lands from a blocked number and holds breath. Then a whisper drifts through the speaker, tomorrow, and ends. I save it and label the file with one word, escalation. I push the station door and head straight to the desk. Emergency order hearing. I announce, folder already open. The clerk checks the docket and nods toward room B. A clock above the hallway clicks like a countdown. I grip the handle and step inside before doubt forms. Mara sits near the wall with crossed ankles. Daniel paces 2 strides, then stops and stares. A mediator arranges papers with crisp movements and patience. An officer powers the recorder and raises a brow. "Begin when ready," he prompts, pen poised for impact. I slide the drive across and state the timestamp. He plugs it in, and the footage fills the screen. A wrist tries my lock, then a ride arrives. The license number matches my note from yesterday. The officer glances up, first confirmation, clean and heavy. Mara exhales through her teeth and reaches for her bag. "Hands visible," the officer warns without raising his voice. She plants them on the table and glares at me. Daniel leans against the doorframe and keeps very still. The mediator opens a fresh form and waits for detail. Attempted impersonation at 2 clinics. I outline without flourish. Unauthorized courier booked in my name. I add. Prescription possession without proof. I finish, calm and steady. The mediator nods and marks the page with numbers. Requesting stay away and identity safeguards. I conclude with focus. Mara tilts her head and tries a softer tone. "I just want a family," she says with careful sorrow. The mediator lifts a finger for relevance, back to facts. "Did you submit any signature for her?" he asks evenly. Her mouth stalls, then resets into a brittle smile. Daniel digs into his pocket and produces a receipt. "Mailroom scan from our building," he says to the table. It shows a package sent to a lab overnight. The sender field carries my initials and a wrong apartment. The officer logs it and tags the envelope for evidence. My phone vibrates and I glance down quickly. Bank alert flags a new application in my name. I hold it up for the camera and read aloud. "Medical credit line initiated at 9:40, I report. The mediator turns to Mara with a sharpened question. "Did you request this credit?" he asks without blinking. She spreads her hands like innocence and shrugs once. Daniel flinches and rubs his jaw with restless fingers. "Her number is on the application," I continue. The officer writes faster, ink scratching like a warning. The door opens and my parents enter with tight faces. Mom whispers a greeting that lands and curls. Dad stays silent and scans every document slowly. The mediator gestures toward 2 empty chairs by the wall. "Observation only unless called," he states with finality. "Explain the pills from yesterday," the officer directs to Mara. She fixes on the tabletop and breathes through her nose. "Supplements," she repeats, thinner than before. "Label states prescription only," he counters without heat. Silence stretches until Daniel shifts and clears his throat. "She told me they were vitamins," he mutters toward the floor. He avoids her eyes and keeps speaking in small bursts. "I picked them up because she begged," he admits. The mediator writes, then underlines the last words twice. Mara's hands curl and uncurl like trapped things. I place a printed timeline in the middle space. "Events from last night to now," I say plainly. The mediator reads the columns and nods once. "This supports emergency protection today," he announces. The officer signals the clerk to prepare the order. Mara leans forward and lowers her voice to a thread. "You're celebrating my infertility," she whispers with venom. I keep my gaze steady and let the moment sit. "I'm celebrating control of my body," I answer slowly. She recoils half an inch, enough for everyone to notice. The clerk returns with a form that requires initials. I sign the sections that restrict contact and access. The officer dates the page and stamps the bottom. Daniel reads the conditions and swallows hard. Dad's shoulders drop, relief mixed with something colder. "Any devices or keys belonging to her?" the officer asks. I list nothing missing and mention the scratched latch. He adds a patrol request for tonight and tomorrow. Mara scoffs under her breath and looks at Mom. Mom studies her lap and offers no rescue line. The mediator shifts focus to digital protection steps. 2-factor across accounts, he notes with a quick check. "Fraud alert placed today," he continues with precision. He hands me a printed set of numbers and addresses. "Contact them within 48 hours, he adds firmly. Mara stands abruptly and knocks the chair sideways. The officer gestures and the chair is upright again. She points at me and drops her final card. "If I can't carry you will," she spits. My pulse spikes, but my voice lands cool and clear. "I won't. I never will. Try me," I state. Daniel steps between us with both palms visible. "Stop now," he urges, eyes bright and wet. The mediator lifts a hand and the room steadies. The officer positions himself an arm's length from Mara. The clerk reads the order aloud line by line. No contact by message, ride service, or third party. No appointments on my behalf at any facility. No financial instruments opened under my data. Violations trigger immediate custody, 0 warnings. Mara signs the acknowledgement with a jagged flourish. She pushes the pen away like it burns. The officer collects the copy and tucks it carefully. Enforceable on service, he notes, already moving. A deputy steps in to complete the formality. Mom rises and reaches toward Mara's sleeve. Mara shakes her off and heads for the door. Daniel lingers behind with erect expression. Come with me, he tries once, voice breaking. She keeps walking until the hallway swallows her footsteps. Dad turns my way and opens his mouth. I lift a hand and stop whatever apology forms. Practical help only, I say, measured and calm. Change the building code and meet the patrol tonight. He nods once, finally on the same map. Outside, the air bites and I dial my carrier. Lock new lines and hold my SIM, I request. They confirm the freeze and text a reference number. I screenshot it and add it to the case file. Another barrier slides into place with a clean click. A barred number rings again and again, then dies. I forward the logs to the officer's address. He replies with a short confirmation and nothing extra. The efficiency steadies me more than any comfort. I breathe out and count 5 beats before moving. Daniel appears on the steps with unsteady knees. I filed a statement, he says with eyes rimmed and raw. He stares at the street like it might answer. She won't stop until something harder stops her, he whispers. I'm done covering, he adds, voice dropped to gravel. Then bring everything you have, I tell him flat. Every login, every receipt. No omissions, I press. He nods and unlocks his phone with trembling hands. Passwords spill onto paper while traffic hisses by. He hands me the list like a confession with weight. I walk to the corner and hail a verified cab. The driver checks my name and waits for my reply. I confirm and watch the mirror until we pull away. In the glass, the station shrinks and steadies behind me. My phone buzzes once more, hearing confirmed for dawn ready. The judge enters, robe swaying like a thread I recognize. We stand, then sit as the clerk reads my file. Emergency relief extended, the judge states without drama or pause. Digital impersonation logged, further contact prohibited, he adds. My shoulders unlock a fraction, though the room hums. Daniel lifts a small bag and places it forward. Inside, a prepaid phone rattles against a folded receipt. Group chat exists, he tells the bench, voice thin. Screen shows appointments booked under my details, time stamped. The judge nods once, then looks toward Mara with weight. Understood, she answers, hands flat and eyes bright. The order covers third parties and services, the judge warns. He signs, the gavel taps once, sharp, final for now. The deputy hands me copies and points to the door. Keep those on you, he says with careful emphasis. We spill into the hallway, and the air tightens. A woman steps out with a leather folder and smile. You're served, she announces, sliding papers toward my chest. Defamation demand, 30 days, retraction required, attorney signature scrawled. I slide them into my bag and meet her stare. Delivery acknowledged. I reply, then click my recorder. She hesitates, glances at Mara, then retreats to the elevator. Mom starts toward me with damp eyes and tremor. I step back and lift a palm between us. Later, public place, mediator present. I say, tone even. Outside, my phone flashes a security alert mid-step. New application, at a medical lender under my name. I hit the fraud line and read the reference aloud. Freeze placed. The agent confirms with a canned rhythm. Screenshot saved, forwarded to the case address, paper trail growing. At work, the guard scans my badge and tilts his head. HR asked for you immediately, he murmurs, voice clipped. In the conference room, a manager slides a printout across. Someone requested medical leave using my email and department. I point to the header and shake my head once. Report it and lock my profile, I instruct. He dials internal security and verifies my identity again. A new PIN arrives and I commit it to muscle memory. We finish fast because hesitation invites holes and risk. I leave with a guest escort and a tightened route. On the sidewalk, a courier raises a hand and waves. Delivery for you, he calls, cooler dangling from fingers. From who? I ask, keeping distance and camera rolling. Lab pickup, signature only, tip already covered, he says. He flips the label toward me, my name printed clean. I won't sign, I answer, voice steady and direct. Take it back, contact the sender for return, I add. He shrugs and reaches for his phone with impatience. I dial the non-emergency line and give the code. Patrol arrives within minutes because the order flags. The cop checks his manifest and notes the requester ID. Placed through an app by a user named Mira, he reads. Spelling off by one letter, intent not off at all. He photographs the label and files a quick report. The courier shakes his head and mutters about scams. Daniel texts that he received a ping from a lab. Donor check in under your initials at 10, his message reads. I call the number on speaker and state the bar. Hold the file and verify against the court order, I insist. A pause, then a promise to stall any activity for now. A ride request pings my phone again, destination unknown. I hit cancel and block the account tied to it. Another request lands within seconds like a test. I screenshot both and forward to the same thread. A reply returns from the detective, logged, nothing more. My parents propose brunch by text with pleading words. I picked the precinct lobby because witnesses matter today. They arrive late, faces carved with fatigue and shame. Mara waits across the street and pretends not to watch. I point at the posted order and lift my phone. Inside or nothing, I say, keeping my tone controlled. Mom nods and steps through the doors without argument. Mara lingers outside and paces the curb in little bursts. Dad folds his hands and asks for concrete tasks. Change home Wi-Fi, new locks, remove shared keys, I list. A ping interrupts with brutal timing and fresh heat. A public post tags my handle with a long accusation. I read the first lines and stop before anger blinds me. I upload a single screenshot of the court notice instead. No commentary, just the stamp and the time, and silence. Strangers flood my inbox with bile and cheap advice. I capture names, archive messages, then close every window. Mom whispers my name and almost reaches for my arm. I shift an inch away, and she stops mid-motion. This only works if everyone respects the boundary, I say. We exit together, and the street feels like a stage. Mara crosses suddenly with a bright smile strapped on. Talk privately, she urges, head angled toward the alley. I step backward and keep the station behind my spine. Distance now, I warn, eyes on the door camera. A plainclothes detective steps out and plants himself between us. Read the order again, he says without looking at me. She laughs and throws her hands up like surrender. He keeps a neutral face and radios for a patrol unit. She backs away 3 steps and whispers something I can't catch. Daniel appears from around the corner with quick strides. He presses a sealed envelope into my hand and nods. Access codes to our storage and shared laptop, he whispers. Check the calendar app for drafts and duplicates, he adds. He turns on his heel and aims for the curb. Back home, my phone buzzes with a power company alert. Someone attempted to switch my account to a new address. I hit the fraud flag and lock down the profile. The agent reads back the request time and originating IP. I forward it to the detective with 3 lines of context. A neighbor knocks and gestures me to the hallway camera. Footage shows a woman in scrubs trying door handles. Face partially covered, stride identical, ring glint familiar. She tests each apartment, then checks my doormat with care. I freeze the frame and zoom until the bracelet shines. I email the clip and brace for a callback that matters. Phone rings almost instantly because patterns add up fast. Expect a patrol sweep on the hour, the detective says. Do not interact with disguised visitors at any time, he adds. I agree and hang up as the timeline expands again. My screen lights with a banking push that chills the room. A transfer attempt from my savings to a clinic account. 2-factor blocks it before any damage lands. I write the event time on my running list. Each minute now counts like a small trial by fire. Another knock, softer this time, followed by a pause. Welfare check, a voice calls with professional cadence. Agency name, I ask, keeping distance and posture firm. They hesitate, then repeat the phrase without specifics. I dial the precinct and let the speaker carry my doubt. The responding squad walks them back to the elevator. They push a clipboard at the officers and point my way. Not authorized, the cop says, tapping the order copy. The pair exchange glances and retreat without protest. The door closes and my hands finally stop shaking. Evening edges in, and the building grows loud with movement. Daniel texts a photo of a storage bin opened recently. Inside, a stack of forms stamped with future dates. Each one uses my initials alongside her contact number. I file it under evidence and feel my jaw harden. My parents ring again and offer to change their locks. I tell them to also freeze their credit today. Dad confirms he already called and set the alerts. Mom sends a photo of her keychain minus a fob. Progress, I reply, then power down for an hour. The dark stretches, then my phone glows with a new text. Unknown number offers cash for donation, if I reconsider. The message ends with a heart that curdles my stomach. I paste the case number and the judge's line beneath it. Then I type one more sentence with final weight, no more games. The phone rattles me awake before dawn. Movement at your building, the detective states, voice clipped. Scrubs, cap, matching bracelet, same stride, he adds. Stay inside and keep recording, he finishes. I plant the device on the counter and hit live, listening. Footfalls pause outside my door and test the handle. A thin tool scratches, then withdraws after 2 tries. The peephole shows a figure checking the corridor. She bends, reaches for the doormat, and freezes. A uniform rounds the corner and calls her by name. She walks fast toward the stairs, head down. 2 more uniforms climb from below and block escape. Hold your hands out, one commands, steady and calm. She hesitates, glances up, and spots the camera. Her chin lifts like defiance is oxygen for her. I meet them in the lobby with the injunction copy. The lead reads it, then radios for a supervisor. Violation captured, he confirms, eyes on the timestamp. They separate her from the stairwell door with care. I keep quiet because anger is unnecessary when documented. Daniel arrives with hair uncombed and breath ragged. He stops 3 steps away from her line. Enough, he murmurs, throat thick and barely holding. She ignores him and stares straight through me. The elevator dings and the detective steps out briskly. He takes my phone and uploads the clip. Chain of custody noted, he says for the mic. The cap comes off and the bracelet glints again. Mara doesn't blink when he lists the code sections. The cuffs click, not loud but final enough. They guide her outside toward the waiting car. She tilts her head and smiles at me once. Call the press, she says, too bright, too smooth. The door closes and the car eases away. Daniel sags against the wall like strings got cut. Statement now or later, the detective asks, efficient. Now, I answer because momentum matters today. We sit at the small desk near the front. I recount the knock, the tool, the bracelet. He types without commentary and flags the footage. A clerk from records appears with printed advisories. 2-factor on utilities, fresh pins for carriers, she lists. I sign the acknowledgments and tuck them into my folder. Notify the lab network again, the detective adds. I nod and send the email with short bullets. Daniel edges closer and opens a cloud drive. Stored drafts. Scheduled forms. Alternate addresses, he whispers. He hands me a passcode written small and neat. Use it before it locks from inactivity, he says. I upload the archive to the case file, complete. A call pops on the detective's desk console. The county lab reports another attempted donor check-in. Different alias, matching contact number, the tech reports. He patches me through and asks for a single phrase. Confirm the injunction applies statewide. I read word perfect. We leave the station and a raw wind slices across. Daniel walks beside me, slower than usual, quieter. I booked an appointment with a counselor, he says. I should have months ago, he adds, eyes lowered. I nod once, because repair starts where denial ends. My parents wait across the avenue near a cafe. Dad raises a hand, uncertain and hopeful. Mom stays still, mouth pressed thin like a wound. I point at the patrol car idling near the corner. Public table only, I say, and cross with purpose. Coffee arrives and turns cold while we speak boundaries. No contact through proxies, I tell them clearly. No pressure about family duty ever again, I add. Dad nods without arguing and writes himself a reminder. Mom whispers that she will follow my lead for once. My phone vibrates with a courthouse notification. Arraignment set for afternoon on violation counts. Victim input welcome on conditions, the line reads. I accept and mark the time with a red dot. We disperse before anyone can start bargaining with guilt. On the way home, a stranger sidles up and smirks. You ruined a woman's dream, he barks too loudly. I stop, lift the injunction, and point to my name. He reads a line and retreats without apology. Daniel watches, jaw tight, and keeps pace beside me. Upstairs, a maintenance tech replaces the scarred latch. He holds the old plate, shows me the fresh grooves. Filed as evidence, the detective says, stepping in. He takes the plate with bag and marker ready. Your neighbor's footage matched the bracelet pattern, he adds. A push alert stings my screen with another smear. A post claims I sabotaged treatments out of jealousy. I upload a single slide, injunction header, docket number. No commentary, only the seal and today's date. The comments split and then slow like a storm passing. The courthouse corridor hums with restrained chaos and nerves. The prosecutor reads the facts to me plainly. Seeking no contact extension and monitored release, she notes. Requesting mental health evaluation as a condition, she adds. I agree because safety and sanity are not enemies. Mara appears flanked by counsel and 2 deputies. She scans the hall and lands on my face. Congratulations, she breathes, almost joyful through clenched teeth. You finally made yourself important, she finishes. Daniel looks away so he doesn't break in public. Inside, the judge takes the bench and starts the docket. The prosecutor presents the clip and the bracelet frame. Defense argues stress and desperation, nothing about consent. The judge watches, then adjusts his glasses slowly. Conditions granted, he rules, voice flat and decisive. No contact direct or indirect, he reads from the sheet. Stay 500 feet from residence and work, he continues. Submit devices for forensic imaging by tomorrow, he orders. Comply with evaluation within 10 days, he finishes. He looks at Mara and waits until she nods. We step out and air hits like a reset button. Daniel touches my sleeve, light, almost careful. I booked a locksmith for our parents tonight, he says. I'll be there to make sure it's done, he adds. I squeeze his shoulder once and feel the tremor ease. The detective returns with a sealed envelope and pen. Forensics pulled a draft consent with your forged mark, he reports. Undelete metadata shows the author and time, he adds. He slides a copy of the report to the prosecutor. Charges may expand if the lab confirms intent, he notes. Outside the doors, Mara waits on the steps and smiles. Look at us, she calls, reckless and gleaming. 2 parts of the same story, she insists. The deputy steps between us without ceremony or heat. She lifts her chin and speaks over his shoulder. You will help me someday, she declares like prophecy. Even if it takes years and blood, she pushes. I take 1 step forward and plant my feet. I will never be your solution, I state. Her eyes flash, but the deputy guides her away. Daniel exhales a laugh that sounds like disbelief. Did we just survive the first hill? He asks. We survived today, I answer, keeping my voice steady. Tomorrow we do it again if required, I add. He nods and glances at the courthouse clock, counting. Back home, the patrol circles and logs another pass. Neighbors hold doors and keep glances short but kind. I change the network passphrase and archive the logs. The inbox dings once with a single line from work. Profile secured. Fraud team assigned, the message reads. Evening settles and the building calms by degrees. I turn the bolt and set the chain with care. My phone rests on the table, camera pointing outward. I breathe in slow and let the breath ride out. Silence builds, then thins, then holds like a truce with teeth. Daniel texts a final image before midnight chimes. Storage bin empty, drafts deleted, access revoked. He adds 1 sentence that lands like a vow. No more shielding, he writes and sends a dot. I watch the screen until it dims, then lift my head.